Hello, Jeremy here. For this episode, we are going to be doing SpriteGrid enhancements, as the title says. Alright, so let's go to the code and get rid of the link that is walking across the screen. Alright. Okay, so what the idea here is I want to be able to address the SpriteGrid or index the SpriteGrid like it was a grid. So it's a two-dimensional array. So to do this, we need to update how this works, how we construct the grid. So cell could still be useful. Yes. But we're going to start doing that in a loop. Alright, so what we can do is we're going to say self.grid equals an empty list. Go for, we know that these are the rows. So this is number of columns, this is number of rows. Okay, so maybe it's better to call this columns, and this rows. No, it's not, because it's not the same thing. Height. This is the height and width of this sheet, and the size is, okay, no, we have rows and columns here. That's okay, that's fine. So for, you want to go through each row, so for the row in rows, but rows is a number, so we can't use this as if it was a list. You have to say range of rows. So what this does is it gives you a number from 0 to the number you specify here, -1. Okay, I will show what this looks like in the README so it is clear. Python, then we go for I in range of 10, print I. Okay, that's what range does. If you use range like this, it just tells you to range from 0 to 10, but 10 is not inclusive. I guess it's saying that the range is 10 elements long or something like that, but it's always the -1 is where it ends. And it's off by 1 because we start with 0, that's why. Okay, so we are using this range capability to address each row. And I will pull that code back up. So we use that to address each row. And we need to make a columns. Or this is going to be row index. Row needs to be a new row. So whenever we go through each row, we're going to make a new row so we can add that row to the grid. So self.grid.append row. Then we go through each column index and range of columns. And with this, we can then add each cell to the row. At this point, we go row.append self.cell row index colon index. And that should be it, right? We append the row, update the data for each row by column. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah. That looks good indeed. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is use something called getIndex. This is a special magical method. As you can tell, anything with __ that starts with __ and ends in __ is a special magical method for Python. What this special magical method does is takes in an index, and we will use this to return self.grid of index. Okay. Now, what we are doing is this will return the row that we index off of it. You'll see what that looks like. So we got that done. Okay, let's go ahead and use it for links down here. So instead of doing all this nonsense, we should now be able to say animation sprites is link grid of 4. So give me all of the sprites, sprites from the grid on the 4th row. This should be all of the sprites on the 5th row. And if I didn't mess anything up, which I have a history of doing, that will work. All right, let's see. And I messed something up. The SpriteGrid does not support indexing. What did I mess up? Did I not save it? No, let's save. Okay. Okay, so here's what the error looks like. Instead of me going down and trying to troubleshoot it without showing you. So it says type error, SpriteGrid object does not support indexing, which is what I thought I just added with the get item. So go ahead and go back to our editor and get index. Okay. SpriteGrid. This should have built up the grid. So let's see, we have a grid for row in self grid, cell in row, print cell. Let's see what happens when I do that. Looks like we have a bunch of sprites. Okay. Here's what that looks like. We just have a bunch of sprites. Okay, so that's good. Wait, get item. So I looked up it and oh, it's get item, not get index. Get item. Okay, so let's go back to Emacs. I had this as it was get index. What does you get item? Now I can try it out. Okay, so that works great. This will allow us to be more cool more easily. Let's get rid of this print. We don't need it printing out but anymore. So I can specify another animation. Actually, we can just do this. We can say this is animation is link grid 4. This is link grid 5. Link grid 5. And what I could say here is I can make another animation. Animation 3. Let's actually name these correctly. This is down. One of them is left, one of them is right. Let's call this left. Let's call this right. Because I don't know. And we'll fix it when we see it. Okay, let's make the animation face down, the one we have. And let's add the animation left and right. Let's just add left for now. Character will be animation down. Okay, let's try it. Okay, so the animation right now is facing left. Get rid of these. Okay, animation left is facing left. That means animation right should be this one. And I can place it, let's place it a little more to the right. Let's do like 200. Okay. Now we should keep both animations. Animation up. Okay. That's fine with me. Animation up. Let's make this one. Make it 100, 100, but this one 100, 200. And it might be that animation right with some other animation. Alright, but anyways, it seems okay. We'll just go with this. Oh, what did I do? Animation right is not defined. That's true. Animation, oh. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. So that's good. So you can see how this will make our dealing with our animations easier now that we've updated the animation grid. The final thing that I want to do is make a null surface instance, which is what this is saying. So I want a null surface equal to surface 0, 0. I don't want it to make new surfaces when I do this. So I wanted to have an instance of null surface and then replace all of the instances of 0, 0 null surface. So I want to look for every instance of this. Alright, go to the top of my file, search for that. So, and then in this case, I want to substitute in null surface. Okay. Null surface. Okay, search for the next one. That's fine. Null surface. Next. Oh, okay. Cool. Those are the only two instances of a empty surface, so I've now replaced them all. And double check their null surface. Oh, I have to move it up. Show that here. Need it up here. So, yeah, the repulse is saying this. Sorry, I'm just being quick about it. It says name error, null surface is not defined. So when I used it here, okay, when I used it here, it wasn't defined at that point, it's defined lower. So we just moved it to the top of the file and we define it here. That way it'll be accessible. Okay, and there we go. That's good. I did all of the things I wanted to do. I made it easier to do these animations, and this will allow us to then set state and play animations based on a state lookup. And that'll allow us to have a character that will move around and will change orientation based on the way it's facing. We'll probably add it into the keyboard, so instead of controlling it by the mouse, we'll control it by the keyboard, and we'll have it face a direction when you go that direction. That's what I have in plan for the next episode, is to do some sort of stick thing like that. Okay, have a good day, and see you next time.